When I started this podcast, I didn't have a clue where it would lead. I wasn't sure about longevity. I wasn't even sure whether the world needed another podcast that was based around photography. I mean, hadn't it been done already? There are some fantastic titles. We often talk about them. Those that you can search up and listen to. But I tell you where it led. It led to a podcast that, whilst having the staple diet of, I suppose, interviews, Q&A, I think, IMHO, as the kids with a Z would say, led to a show that's truly unique. A letter-driven walk with a microphone, made by you. Yes, made by me, but made by you, by your words of wonder for how these little boxes that we carry in our hands, be that cameras or smartphones, of course, with a camera, how they shape our days, our thoughts and adventures, how they channel your feelings of vulnerability in a wider or more personal sense. I'm constantly amazed by the pictures and the words that you share with me, and by extension us. But let me return to my very opening sentence, which may explain the waves you hear in the background. I am next to the Atlantic Ocean, roughly halfway down the continent of Africa, give or take a couple of centimetres on a map. I, and by extension you, are in the Gambia, in West Africa, for our first retreat outside Europe. And my alter ego self will now give you a potted history of the place, or as they say in North America, the skinny on the Gambia.
I never knew of a morning in Africa when I woke up that I was not happy. Ernest Hemingway said that, and apparently 3 of the famous author's most acclaimed works were inspired by a 90-day safari he took in Africa. Though Africa is a large continent, and aside safari, there's so much more to do and see and taste and touch and hear and smell, and those senses alone seem to me not to be enough. Perhaps emotion could be classed as another of them. There's an African proverb, knowledge is a garden. If it isn't cultivated, you can't harvest it. And I like that because it speaks of this idea that I've personally started to embrace, and perhaps one I'm further embracing with each year that passes, that's calling out to me to listen more and learn more. Look, I don't know about you, but it's difficult to hear when everyone is making so much noise these days. That's why I enjoy going to places like the Gambia. It's like someone is putting the most incredibly comfortable and welcoming warm cotton wool in my ears. Make of that as you will, but as I landed at Banjul Airport, I embraced the idea of limiting my data. Whilst that might horrify my kids, whose first question is usually, but does the place have Wi-Fi when we travel? For me, that prospect was indeed like warmed digital cotton wool. I'm lucky to have visited north, south, east and west of this incredible continent, but I can't claim to be any great expert. I have a lot of the continent, a lot, yet to see. I'm an observer, desperate to learn more, and that's why when it came to organising the Photowalk Retreat on more distant shores, West Africa, and in particular the Gambia, of which I have a modest experience of now, came instantly to mind. Another African proverb, then I promise I'll use them more sparingly. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I think it fits well with the reason behind a retreat in West Africa that you and I are now sharing with 4 friends. American traveller Matt Bobby, Scottish adventurer Lynn Fraser, a German explorer Michael Assmann, and Canadian observer of life Shannon Coppin. Plus our guides, photojournalist Jason Florio, who has 2 decades of experience in Africa as a continent, Andy Thompson, who now lives in the country, and other Gambian friends and guides who you'll meet as we travel this episode together. The Gambia is a small West African country bounded by Senegal with a narrow Atlantic coastline. There's abundant wildlife, yes, but this is a country that's certainly, to the west anyway, more densely populated, where different dialects and religions live harmoniously side by side. There are dense mangroves, yes, but not vast plains where you might view the so-called Big Five, a narrative many may believe typifies the entire continent. Africa, as I was reminded by our guides, is a tapestry of 54 countries and over 2,000 languages. And our show today will introduce you to a small but important part of this amazing, complex and, well, for me personally, magnetic continent. So today, river trips, the city, the turbulent history, the past, the future, crocodiles just inches from our feet, time in the country, festivals, music, and, well, there's so much to pack in. But before we start, I want to thank our extra milers and MPB who sponsor this show and keep it here week on week. MPB, or mpb.com as you'll use it as a website, is where you can safely buy, sell and trade quality used video and photo gear online and be a part of the circular economy. The X100V that travelled with me, my trusted travel companion, the Fujifilm X100V, was bought through MPB. Right now, as camera bodies are currently in high demand, MPB has increased the amount you can get paid for your camera, and here's how it works. You go online to mpb.com, you click the button at the top of the website that says Start Selling and Trading, and just follow the very easy instructions where you're prompted to enter the model name and then click a box for the appropriate condition. From there, your kit's collected from your front door and MPB pays you for your camera gear within days. The average seller earns £700 each time they sell to MPB. Make money by avoiding seller fees when you sell to MPB with a price commitment that gives visual storytellers like you, like me, the right price up front for our kit. I'll have a link on the show page today. Also, on that show page, there'll be pictures from those who travelled on this adventure, which will be updated in the days and weeks to come. Also, there'll be a special film, so keep an eye on this show page for episode 420, because it's going to change like the wonderful Atlantic breeze. So we're starting the episode in the capital city as we board a ferry that travels between the south and north shores of the Gambia. And I'll pop up here and there to link the whole adventure together. Right, shall we walk? Checklist out. Never mind coffee. Plenty of bottles of water. Check. Garibaldi's. Cross that one off. I forgot them. Walking shoes. Check. Some Mozzie spray. Check. Sunscreen. Important for this one. Check. And a fully charged camera. There's many pictures to make. Check. Let's walk.
Is coming
To cross from Banjul to Barra, there's a crossing you must take in the only boat that does it, a ferry, which I've said this before on the podcast. I know all of life happening in one place on one ferry. Those that are travelling with their cars, I mean, you're sharing space with the chickens, the goats, everything uses this to get to the other side. Now, we have various guides, and they're all called Lamin. So we've kind of gone for other names as well. Mo, you said Mo. Is that a middle name?
Modu Lamin, that's the name. The Lamin is the middle name. My name is Modu Lamin.
Lamin means?
Firstborn.
Firstborn.
That's the community in the Gambia. Most of the time, any Lamin you come across should be a firstborn. But Lamin is an Arabic name. So when you hear Lamin, it's always a firstborn.
Oh.
So if you are a first female born, they will give you Fatima or Bintu.
Tell me about the ferry then. I've talked about this ferry on the podcast before, Mo, and it's difficult to describe because, as I say, all of life is on one boat.
Yeah, this ferry here, I will just tell you that this is the new ferry. We call it Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
So we have the old one that was Canning Lai, bought by the then president in 2015, Yahya Jammeh. That one is called Canning Lai, but is in service, but not as always.
I think I've been on Canary Islands, this one.
Yeah, but this one is a bit faster. This is the new one bought by the current president, Adama Barrow, named after the Gambian hero.
Yeah.
We call it Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
So this ferry will cruise us to the northern side of the Gambia because it's a ferry that normally cows, everything. We are all compact together because it's the means of transportation. And normally, when it have a breakdown, you have to use the small pirogue boat to get to the northern side, or else you still have to wait. That is the interesting side of this ferry here.
When you get to the other side, there's not. I've never found that much in Barrow because you're very close to the Senegalese border, aren't you?
On the Barra side, Barra used to be a busy town in the colonial era until now.
But there's a lot of people that want to go there. I mean, it says 700 people as a maximum on this ferry. I'm counting sort of in my mind a bit. I think there's more than 700 on this ferry, Mo.
You can say it again. If you can see the attendance here, it's more than 700.
Does the ferry ever break down midway?
I've never experienced it,
Thank you
but
for
I
saying
saw
that,
it on news that a ferry gets stuck till the other day.
Yeah.
But I've never experienced that. And today we are with 3 lamins. We are not going to stuck in this ferry.
Yeah.
We are going and coming back. We use the pirogue.
3 lamins mean luck, apparently. 3 lamins mean luck.
Well, we'll hold him to that. In the excitement of boarding the ferry so quickly, I fear I suggested this is the only way to cross the mouth of the River Gambia as it turns into the Atlantic Ocean. Not true, because as you'll find out soon, there is another boat back, for which a strong pair of legs is a necessity. That'll make sense soon too. In the meantime, I took the opportunity to walk with Matt around this ferry to make some pictures of our fellow passengers and the cargo, which you'll find on the show page. It's a pictorial show page today, so it is.
We've just been walking around the ferry. It was a tight squeeze at times, moving in and out the cars and trucks. There's a maximum load weight. I don't want to go on too much about it, but you can clearly hear I'm about to suggest that we were somewhat overweight with the trucks and the buses and the cars and me, because it became very abundantly clear to me I'm a little bit too large to fit through some of the smaller places. Meanwhile, on the first class deck, which is right by the captain, which thanks to one of our guests, or rather one of our guides, Lamin, we've been able to stand in a place where you wouldn't usually get. And there's a language lesson going on between Lynn and Lamin.
Still the same. My relative forgive me.
Lamin, read me some of what you're teaching Lynn, and I hope it's not bad language.
Well, I would not be that mean.
No,
I wouldn't be that mean.
What are we learning?
Yeah, because what happened is Jason just came and said he took a photo, and someone was pleased about it, and then he said, "Hey, he swear at him." So I said, yeah. The guy said in English. So I said, if they say that, just tell them that Mbading Hekatu. That's Mandinka. Mbading Hekatu.
Manko Hekatu.
Mbading.
What's what I said?
Mbading.
Excuse me.
Can you?
Mbading. Hekatu.
Hekatu.
See that that's practically
Mandinka.
fluent.
That's Mandinka. So you say,
What does it mean?
my relative, I'm sorry.
All right, okay.
I'm sorry. And in Wolof, it means Mboka Balma.
Mboko Balma.
Balma means my relative, I am sorry. Forgive me.
That's a very different way of doing it, isn't it? By referring to them as your relative.
Yeah. So
is that the ultimate in politeness then, that you sort of bring them into your family as such?
Yeah. So you just make the person feel that you're related to him, or there's some sort of connection.
That's the buzzer, by the way, that means we're almost at the other side, isn't it? Yeah.
So that's the two things that you need to learn.
Right.
How to apologize, because most people don't like photos. Here.
Well, most people don't like their feet being trodden on, and that was all I was doing downstairs. I kept doing apologetic sort of English apologies.
I'm sorry.
I did learn how to say excuse me, which I've now
Balma,
forgotten.
If it is Wolof, just for you to be able to catch up easily, just say Balma.
What is the more universally, is Balma the more universally known
Balma.
version of sorry?
Or you say Balalma. Balalma, yes. That's right.
And that's a universal sorry.
Yeah, that's sorry. That's Wolof. But in Mandinka, you can say Hekatu.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to find because there's so many different languages. Is there one that's well known? Like Salam Alaikum is a greeting.
Yeah, but in this case, you don't have a universal.
There's no universal. I'm sorry, I messed up.
Sorry, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that will connect or link all the dialects
Right,
now.
okay.
A dialect will
There's
have
no
its
Arabic
own,
version, no.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Because Assalamu alaikum is Arabic. That means peace be upon you.
But I thought most people, that's why I've been using that, because most
because
people...
it's a Muslim dominant country, so this is why everybody uses Assalamu alaikum.
What's the figure of, in terms of percentage-wise, of Muslims that live in this country?
Statistics, some people say 90%, some people say 95%.
Yeah.
But what is most certain is it is a Muslim dominant country.
Yeah, very much.
Dominant country, but it's a very liberal society, very liberal country.
Liberal in terms of...
You're free to exercise your religious belief if you're non-Muslim.
Whether you're a Christian or whatever.
Whether you're Christian or even a free thinker, you're free to exercise whatever your faith is.
Yes.
And no one will disturb you.
No.
In fact, Muslims and Christians intermarry quite a lot in the Gambia. And you can go to certain families, half are Christians and half are Muslims, and they live amicably in under the same roof.
Yeah.
So this is probably the reason why the intermarriage is the reason why we never had religious disputes or so. So it's
so there's a lot of harmony between the
different religions. Yeah. Though it's a Muslim dominant country.
And also there's a squeamishness to refer to tribes, because tribes is a word that I'm never quite sure I should use. Although I know that in the Gambia, tribes is a word that's used.
Yeah, most of the time I prefer using dialect. Local dialect.
Not 7 different tribes, 7 different dialects.
Yeah, I will say we have 9 different dialects.
9 is it?
Yeah, 9 different dialects in the Gambia.
Okay.
Yeah, and all these dialects, they live together, they live harmoniously.
Yeah.
They do intermarry, in fact, quite a lot.
Yeah.
So Gambia has these 2 advantages.
Now, I don't want to fall out with anyone, but this number of dialects will be a little fluid during this show. Some guides say 5, some 6, 7, 8 or 9. There are other ethnic groups that don't necessarily fit within what's known as that official list. The Worldwide Wonder revealed this, though. Officially, the Gambia consists of 8 ethnic groups: Mandinka, Fula, Jola, Wolof, Sera, Serahuli, Manjago and Aku. The Jolas are among the earliest settlers in the area south of the Gambia River. Some sources claim they originated in Egypt and travelled across North Africa during King Solomon's days of the 10th century BC. I just thought I'd throw the number out there from the start, because I don't want you raising your eyebrows at me every single time you hear an inconsistency.
Later on in the week, we'll be visiting a particular island that has much to do with the shameful slave trade, but we're next to on the side of the river called Barra. We've come to something called Fort Bullen. Fort Bullen also, doesn't it, have a history with slaving, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is Fort Bullen, the only fort that is built specifically for the abolishment of slave trade.
Oh, for the abolishment of slave trade. Oh, so this has positive.
Yeah, this is a positive one.
Yeah.
It's unlike the other forts like Kunta Kinte Island and Gore Island and the Almina Castle in Ghana. Those ones were constructed specifically for slave trade. But Fort Bullen is constructed for the abolishment of slave trade. So when the British Parliament enacted this law that slave trade is inhuman and they're working on abolishing it, this is when they constructed this fort here. And whenever they impound boats or cargoes that are carrying slaves, they just get those slaves, bring them here to Fort Bullen, and it's as a rehabilitation center for the slaves.
So essentially they would rehabilitate them, then release them again.
Yeah, when they are fit to go back to the society, they release them.
Yeah.
So this fort is built for that. So it means no harm but it was built for good. So if you can see outside, you can see some
There's cannons.
cannons.
Yeah.
And these cannons were placed at strategic locations of the river. So in case if they see any cargo ship that is carrying slaves, they can easily get that cargo ship, control it, and then bring the slaves.
Well, you make a message, don't you, by firing your cannons ahead of them to say...
you fire to show them that we mean what we say. You move with fire.
It could almost be a song. Under the shade of the baobab tree, Matt's photographing a cabbie that's come to take some rest. I know what you're photographing, Matt, before you say it's a taxi, Neale. But what caught your eye? Well, initially I saw the what would you call it in your language? Not the bonnet, the hood. The hood. Thank you. I saw the hood sticking out from the baobab tree. I guess that's what you initially saw.
Yeah, well, actually we saw the boot.
The trunk, boots.
The boot.
True. Yeah.
But then I think what interests me was these trees that are so cool looking.
Yeah.
And then this taxi, this bright yellow taxi sitting in the middle of it all, especially with how sort of gray everything is.
Yeah, you've got all these muted tones, haven't you? And there's bright yellow cab. Do you know what the different colour cabs mean in this country?
The yellow ones are for the locals, and the green for the tourist.
The yellow one, great price. Green one, not so great price.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was, I don't know. And plus there were some people walking out into the ocean, and this guy's...
I reckon he's the cab driver.
Yeah. Can barely see him, but...
Yeah. I'll let you take a picture. What do you know? You need to speak through your apertures and stuff usually, but you're not using a film. Are you using a film camera or digital?
No, this is the Nikon ZF.
Oh yeah.
And so right now I'm at ISO 200 f8 at 3D 20th of a second.
Yeah. See, I need a shutter noise. Nikon listeners never get a shutter noise from one of their flavors. But now you've got one from Matt, so we're multilingual.
And I probably should have said the ZF. But
I know what a ZF is.
Under the shade of the baobab tree. Quick, pen me a song, maestro. I think if I were to have, and this is for regular listeners of the show, so forgive me some office talk here, but if I were to have a sort of Mallee's tree of this continent, it might well be the baobab tree. The baobab is succulent, which means that during the rainy season it absorbs and stores water in its vast trunk, enabling it to produce a nutrient-dense fruit in the dry season when all around is dry. This is how it became known as the tree of life. I also read this on the Worldwide Wonder. They grow in 32 African countries, and there are almost as many pronunciations, it seems. I won't say more though, because Guide Lamin is about to tell us more, plus something I really didn't know about this tree.
We are under a very massive tree called baobab tree. These are century trees. Baobabs can live up to 500 years. Oh. Yeah, they can live. If trees are to talk, this tree will tell a lot of history about this place. And local people use baobab for different reasons. And among the things that they use baobab for, the leaves of the baobab, now they've dropped all their leaves. But shortly before the rainy season, they will start bearing fruits. So baobabs could serve as a calendar for the farmers. So farmers, when they see the baobab start bearing leaves, they will know that rainy season is not far away. Locals will collect the leaves, either dry them, and once they're dry, they will pound them. This powder locals will use to cook stew. The stew is very slippery. They will add some chili, some ingredients, and then serve it with rice.
What's that dish called?
The local name in Mandinka, they will call it na durango. Oh. And also, if somebody is suffering from constipation, the locals will use this powder, baobab leaf powder, and I'll put it into water, mix it, and give it to the person to drink.
And is it good?
Yeah, it's good. Also, the baobab fruit, they'll be hanging like bottles up in the air.
We've seen them, yeah.
So once they're ripe, locals will harvest them, break them. Inside the fruit, there's fluffy substance. And that fluffy substance is what they soak in water, squeeze it, and extract juice.
Yeah.
It's good for fatigue.
Now, that's a very handy time for me to say, let's go get some juice. Because I'm looking around, looking at people thinking, I'm hot.
I know.
Did you like the way that he naturally segued there?
I know.
It was excellent.
Yeah, so when mixed with sorrel juice, it's good for fatigue.
Yep.
Yeah?
You're not taking my hint.
Yeah, no.
I'm fatigued. I need juice.
Yeah, if you have fatigue,
Yeah.
just mix the baobab juice with sorrel juice, what
Yeah.
we call locally wonjo.
Yeah.
Mix them and take them, be consuming them within a day or two, and you will see a sign of relief. Yeah. And again,
Lamin, I keep saying to you, I need juice. I'm not climbing the tree for juice.
Yeah.
I want juice now.
yeah, you would. We will walk down to the local cafe and you will have yourself with juice.
Please.
And the roots of the baobab, also very, very good.
Yeah.
You know, locals will collect the roots, put them in a bottle of water, add water, and put a little bit of salt. And they will be drinking it. It's also very good for general body pain. And also, I don't think any one of us need that.
Need what?
That is used as a local Viagra.
Oh.
So I don't think anyone...
What if you add salt to it?
Yeah, some people will add a little bit of salt and then they'll be drinking it. Yeah, so that's baobab for you.
Okay, right, well, let's go get the juice.
Yeah.
And, before we go, have you got a machete? I'd like to take a bit, and any salt that you might have could be quite handy.
You don't need it. You don't need it. He doesn't need it. He is just...
Don't ask Shannon. She's been cruel and mean to me all the time.
He is still 21, 22, so he's still...
All of you, stop it. Stop it. So what are you doing, Shannon?
I want that goat to stay on my rock.
Am I going to... Oh, he's moving.
Oh, I got him as he was coming off.
Did you?
Yeah, too bad.
How can you tell what's a goat and what's a sheep? Because they look very similar here.
Yeah. These two are goats and their tails are up and sheep's tails are down.
That's the rule internationally. Yeah.
Yes.
Tails down for sheep.
Yep.
Tails up for goats.
Yep.
Can we go and get some juice?
Please.
We're just along the shoreline from where the big ferry, Banjul to Barra ferry, comes in, and there's a small boatyard building 5 boats. One of them's practically finished, and I looked at these boats as the ones that go across the mouth of the river between the pirogues, as they're called. They go quickly, much faster than the ferry between the two ports. But then there's a rather more sinister side to this, because these are the boats that are used to go the back way, and not the back way that used to be up Africa and across the Med, which is dangerous enough. These ones are going somewhere else, aren't they, Jason?
Yes, so there's a lot of boats leaving Gambia, kind of via Senegal, via Mauritania, heading to the Canary Islands.
Yeah.
So it's about a 7-day journey by boat, and about 100 plus people on these wooden open boats.
Right.
And yeah, actually where we are now, one of my friends, Lamin Gassama, his mum was a victim of the Jammeh regime. She was murdered along with her husband by Jammeh security forces, and he's decided that obviously not because of that, because it's a few years ago, but he feels he can have a better life in Europe. And he sent me a video the other day of his boat journey from this area here over to the Canary Islands, and it's just shocking to see it. 7 days on an open boat.
7 days on an open boat across the Atlantic between Africa, West Africa, and the Canary Islands is not a very nice navigation.
Seriously dangerous. So many boys, or not even boys, women and children have been lost this year from Gambia. Bakau, where we're close to, we'll be going to tomorrow. They lost 26 boys about 2 months ago.
In one boat?
In one boat. There's a village over here called Medina Sering Mas, and they lost 18 family members in one boat. Tragedy. One family alone.
Yeah. What do they pay to take that journey?
I'm not sure. It's probably round about $500. I mean, the Libya route used to be about 1,000, so I think this one is slightly cheaper. But
so 500, you've got 100 aboard. So you do the math. The boats cost, I was told, around about £3,000. So financially, it makes sense to those that are selling, that are plying themselves in this trade, and they can afford to lose the odd boat or two, can't they?
Yeah, I think these boats are probably just a one-way trip.
But they don't see it as coming back.
I don't think so.
These boats will land if they land, and that's it.
They'll probably get picked up by the Spanish Navy. I mean, some of them do get intercepted by the Senegalese, and sometimes, but what's left of the Gambian Navy do sometimes intercept them.
You've got a video. Let me see this video. Now, of course, you don't have the benefit. I'm not sure the word is benefit, actually. Are you able to turn the sound right up?
That's obviously the sound of the engine. So these are running on a single engine. So if that goes, they're stranded.
And it sounds a very underpowered engine.
It does. Yeah, look at the boat. It's absolutely packed. It looks like they're on a joyride. All got nice clothes on, and it looks like they're just doing a little bit of a...
I've only spotted one person on this boat who is wearing a life jacket.
Yeah, there is one person there, yeah.
One.
I just cannot imagine spending 7 days on that. Can you?
The close-ups too of some of the faces who are punching their fists in the air, looking really happy. But some I'm looking at faces here, some of which very likely won't make it.
Yeah, the losses over this last year or so have been horrendous, but it hasn't stopped people going. I was where I'm living at the moment, the gatekeeper there, I was just talking to him the other night, he's from Guinea, and I said, what are you doing in Gambia? And he goes, I'm just getting enough money so I can go to Europe. And I said, he knows how dangerous it is, but he said, I've got nothing here, and that's what I need to do.
The irony, I'm not sure the irony is here, is that, I'm not sure that's the right word, but Gambia is becoming a country that's getting ever more populated. More people want to come here, yet people are leaving at the same time. There's a real juxtaposition in this story of the Gambia, of the successful economy that's building, yet young people leaving.
Yeah, I think there's a sense for the Gambians that it is greener pastures elsewhere, and maybe we've often all felt that in our lives. I moved to America when I was in my early 20s thinking, well, America's got to be better than the UK. But I think there's a sense here where a lot of the foreigners are coming in. You talk to so many people, like the guys that were helping people off of the ferry boats. Yeah. Those guys we're talking to, they're all Senegalese. So why are the Gambians not doing this work? And I think it'd be good to ask a Gambian why the Gambians feel they can't make it here.
Yeah. You have had I'll call it misfortune, although your journalistic work, your photojournalistic work on board the boat, the MOAS project, was just horrifically sublime. Am I mixing metaphors or whatever? But it's the heat, you can't think of the words.
It's getting a bit warm,
it's oppressive, isn't it?
A little warm. Mad Dog's an Englishman.
Yeah, I think so. But you worked aboard the rescue boats that were in the Mediterranean. So for you to see this now is a kind of it's a return visit to a hopeless feeling of
Yeah, I guess it's just as an ever human need just to pursue what they think is better.
Yeah.
Gambia at one point, people were leaving because of the former regime, but that when you say excuse or that reason no longer exists. Gambia is extremely safe. So people are just on that economic path. And because so many have gone before them and there have been people that have been successful, going to Europe, it's just a huge pull factor. A few nice pictures on Facebook standing next to a Benz in Surrey or wherever. Yeah. It's an easy pull for people. I always think, what would I be like if I was a 16, 17, 18-year-old And I thought, well, why not try it? And there's such a deep sense of faith here that, it's very much like if it's God's will. If I make it, it's God's will, and if it's not, then that's His will as well, and that's it.
You, when you were working in the Mediterranean on MOAS, what does MOAS stand for again?
Migrant Offshore Aid Station.
Aid Station.
Yeah.
So it was a large ship, wasn't it? Funded by somebody, charitably funded, wasn't it?
Yes, it was created by a couple, the Catrambones, he was he was American and she was Italian, and he'd become very, very successful at a ridiculously young age, and he'd moved his business to Malta, and they were out on a big fancy yacht one day in the Med and saw a jacket floating in the water, and they asked the captain, well, why would a jacket just be out there in the middle of the sea? And he said, pretty sure it's probably off one of the migrant boats that have sunk. So they kind of were sat there sipping their champagne and said, well, wait a minute, why is no one doing anything about it? And obviously there were rescues being done, but not in a professional way by, under maritime law, you need to, if you see someone in distress, you need to go to their rescue. And there were European Navy vessels out there, but there was no private rescue vessels. So they went and they bought a big old expedition ship called the Phoenix, kitted it out, put a couple of $2 million drones on there, which could cover about 100 kilometers square. And they went out to sea in 2014, and they started getting funding from various organizations. They partnered with MSF, they partnered with the Italian Red Cross and various other organizations. And they basically saved probably tens of thousands of lives, and many of those were Gambians. You were aboard one day, and I know you rolled your sleeves up and got involved in the rescuing as well. But people, we talk about photojournalists as getting the picture, but plenty of photojournalists know when they're needed for other means as well. You got involved in the rescuing of some people whose boat was going down, and or they were brought aboard, or what? You can fill in the story, but essentially it was somebody you knew. Yeah, there was. There was a number of incidences where there was Gambians on board that I quickly found out that I was like 1 degree of separation from. Yeah. And I know at some point we'll probably talk about Makasutu. So the very first rescue we did was a young boy called Abdullah, and I got chatting to him, and somehow the conversation came around to where he was from, and we got talking about Makasutu, and he said, oh, my dad works at Makasutu. And I said, what's your dad's name? And he said, oh, it's Sana Collie. And I was like, Sana Collie's your dad? I've known your dad for like 15 years, and I'd even photographed him. And that happened on a number of occasions. It was... Were you able to call the parents to say, they're here, they're safe? We did. I got Helen I was on the boat, and it was very difficult to call from the boat, so I emailed with her, and I said, can you call Sana at Makasutu to say his boy's on the boat? And they said they hadn't heard from him in a few months, so they were very happy and sort of obviously, or not shocked, but they were just extremely happy that he was relief would be the word. Yeah. Well, we're about to get aboard. I mean, in a twist of the conversation, we are about to get on board one of these typical boats that will be used to make that terrible journey to Tenerife. Now, we don't have that same journey, and as a lookout across the bay, we have 15-20 minutes of sail ahead of us on a very flat water. Yeah, I'm looking out there, and I'm very glad it's flat. We have the benefit of all wearing life jackets. We're about to climb aboard the pirogue, so I may have to lose every bit of equipment because we get carried out by people through the water, put in the boat, then at the other end we get carried out from the boat, put on the sand. So I forgot that we'd actually have to get I'm being beckoned across by Lamin, so I think this is our boat ride coming now.
We'll talk of the former president in a short while, and aware that we're going from a rather more sinister subject into a far more jaunty tone, the way to return from Barra to Banjul on the south side of the river is via a pirogue, the style of boat mentioned a moment ago. There is no docking process as such. The boats get as close to the beach as possible, from where young men sporting thighs that would embarrass even the most regimented gym goer who spends at least 3 days a week on what's known as Legs Day carry you from shore to boat. You're then essentially tipped, albeit carefully, into the boat upon which you pay a fee. It's worth mentioning at this point that you will hear the currency Dalasi mentioned during the show, the currency of the Gambia, so that you can do some mental maths as we navigate, see what I did there, through not just this river crossing but generally the show. As I penned these linking thoughts, here's what the currency is valued at in pounds, American dollars, euros and goats per square inch. In pounds, $100 Dalasi is worth £1.17. You might want to write these down if you can. In American dollars, 100 Dalasi is worth $1.48. And yes, there really is a way to say the currency in two different pronunciations, it seemed to me. In the euro, 100 Dalasi is €1.37. In goats per square inch, it's worth, well, as much as you can get. Have you ever tried to carry a goat in your wallet?
Before we clamber on board the boat, I do want to... This is the man that's going to carry me on his shoulders.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Sheikh Omar.
Can I ask how heavy you are in kilograms?
98 kilo.
98. I'm more than you.
For sure, but I can carry you.
Are you sure? Let me see your muscle size.
They call me Tiger.
They call you what?
Tiger.
Tiger.
Yeah.
You're going to need to be 2 tigers to carry me.
Nice to meet you.
And you.
Yeah.
And you. Hang on. Fist bump.
Pump, pump.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. See you on the other side. Well, so to speak.
I think that might have been the wrong thing.
Yeah. I didn't mean that.
Guys, you can have a photo with my guy.
Oh, that was an experience. Have you ever been carried by a grown man and dumped in a boat before, Michael?
No, and we stayed completely dry. Never even touched the water.
No. And actually, I never had any doubts that Tiger would get me there. I think Lamin's paying. I'm a bit confused. There's a lot of shouting going on. Meanwhile, I'm looking into the boat, and I'm seeing rather more water in the what is it called? It's not called the keel, is it? Let's just call it the bottom of the boat. Slightly more water than I otherwise would feel comfortable with. There's a lot of negotiation going over now with regard to who's paying.
Life jackets. You pay for your life jackets.
Oh, do you? Oh, right. Yeah. How you doing? I think Lamin's got the money. He's the man. Apparently, it's extra money for life jackets. Could everybody forget about the insurance for the next 15, 20 minutes?
I got 50.
I got 50. Here we go. Oh, you've done it?
Yeah, we need the life jackets, huh?
Oh, we got a stowaway. Hello, what's your name? Yasin. We're giving the student a lift. Absolutely fine. Are you late for school, Yasin?
Yes.
You are. Right. There's currently a lot of shouting going on because we thought we'd hired our own pirogue. Have you ever been on a pirogue before, Shannon?
No, I haven't. This is exciting.
Yeah.
And watching them build it, I was actually surprised it would float.
You know why there's all this shouting going on?
We were supposed to have a private boat, and we've taken on a lot of passengers. And because I'm Canadian, I'm okay with that. In fact, I'd like to just say on behalf of Canada, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Shannon. Yeah, a lot of people are coming on board here, aren't they? The boat is looking suddenly very back heavy.
I'm okay with the back heavy. Although I wouldn't mind moving up to the front a bit more. However, what I'm happy about is we seem to be departing, and if anybody else wants to join us, they're going to have to swim.
Yeah. I'm a little bit unhappy that I'm the only one of us who doesn't seem to have a life jacket.
I think that's because you look like a pro swimmer.
Right.
An Olympic athlete.
Yeah. I'm hanging on to you in case of emergency. You know that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
They're like, if anybody can swim, it's that stellar piece of meat. Specimen of an athlete.
Yeah. Jason, have you been on a pirogue? You must have done. You've been on a few.
I came on one from Jinak, the island round the corner.
Right, well, I'm going to put, because I have a particular camera, which I shall bleep out now, called the yeah. I'm going to put this safely in a dry bag.
Well, there's a bit of water in
It's as I look back into I've never been on a pirogue. This is my first time on a pirogue of this style. As I look back and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 including the driver, 19 people on board this pirogue. We've got space. Can you imagine over 100 people on this?
100 people, 7 days, and not on a calm sea like this. I mean, they're going out off the Senegalese, Mauritanian coast into some pretty nasty conditions out there to get to the Canary Islands.
I assume there's food on board and water?
I can't say about this crossing, but the crossing from Libya to Europe back in the day, they did have loads and loads of bottles of water on board, which were put on. They'd give them a compass, and they also would give them a phone as well, so they could actually reach some of the emergency services. But a lot of them had they did actually have satellite phones. If they were paying enough money, they'd have a sat phone on there as well.
Our journey took a lot less than a week. We were over and then picked up, literally, pictures are on the show page, in 20-25 minutes max by the time Tiger 2 waded out to pick me up. Now, I do need to read a little of the history of the Gambia's former president, understanding for factual information reasons that under his rule there were some advances in education and infrastructure initially, much needed in a country that was economically struggling when he came to power following a bloodless coup. But there is a sinister side to his rule, one that our guide Jason Florio has documented, and I shall quote from Jason's award-winning work Victims and Resistors. From 1994 to 2017, President Yahya Jammeh ruled the Gambia as his fiefdom, crushing dissent and opposition with brutality. His hit squad, the Junglers and National Intelligence Agency, carried out tortures, assassinations, and acts of sexual violence with impunity. Journalists were gunned down and disappeared. Students were shot in cold blood. And even his cousins were murdered on his order. In fear of retribution under Jammeh's autocratic rule, Gambians were denied free speech. But upon his exile in 2017, the country started on a path of transitional justice. The photographs and testimonies in Jason's work are part of the ongoing journey to give face and a voice for the first time in all those years to those who survived horrific human rights abuses, to the families who lost loved ones, and to those who resisted. Many die-hard Jammeh supporters, in parts of the country, are still in denial of the litany of crimes he and his cadre are now accused of, and a number of the perpetrators walk freely among the populace. Collaborating closely with the Gambia Centre for Victims of Human Rights Violations and the Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, Jason, with his wife Helen Jones Florio, photographed over 100 portraits, personal artefacts and sites of violations, along with recorded testimonies of those who survived to tell the tale of loved ones who didn't. It's chilling work. It's powerful, it's potent, it's upsetting, but it's vitally important. And we were just about to find it, displayed in a small museum at the top of an arch called Arch 22, on the way out or way in, whichever way you're driving, to the city.
We've walked up to the top of what's called Arch 22. It's called Arch 22. As you enter Banjul, it was commissioned by Yahya Jammeh, who was in dictatorial rule for many years in the Gambia, 22 years, wasn't it? There's a gold bust here of him, isn't there? Yeah. Is that real gold or it's just plaster?
It's just a plastic kind of a gold made.
Yeah.
It's like a statue of him here.
Yeah.
So this monument itself is called I-22 simply because it's the first infrastructural development of his regime when they took power in 1994. Then in 1996, after he said he stepped down as a soldier to become a civilian, so he won the election, then came into power. This was his first development in the country.
So he built this incredibly high arch that overlooks the roads that come in through west and east of the city. But up the top here, there's an exhibition that really is all about the end of his regime. Let me explain the pictures. These are pictures of people that survived after being either... Are these your pictures, Jason? Oh my word! These are so. These are Jason's pictures. Jason,
are they just going to spoil it for next week now?
Well, I'm talking to Mo about the end of the regime. This is where you can come in actually at this moment, because these are actually Jason Florio's pictures on display. Do you mind reading the words in this one, the caption from it, and if you can expand on the story and maybe a sort of greater aspect of your project, that would be really handy.
Fatou Jaite and Modou Lamine Jammeh, wife and son of Haruna Jammeh. In 2005, Haruna disappeared after allegedly criticizing his cousin, President Jammeh, who was like a brother to him, about his abuse of power. Haruna's sister, Marcy, was disappeared and murdered soon after by Jammeh's henchmen after she spoke out about her brother's disappearance. In 2014, a former member of Jammeh's hit squad, the Junglers, now in Germany, spoke openly on a Gambian radio station about witnessing the murders of both Haruna and Marcy by Gambian security forces. This was the first time that the family knew what had happened to either of them.
So you took that picture. What's it like seeing it here?
Well, it's a bit unexpected. They're all up here. We did an exhibition with them, so some of them went to different places, but I guess they've all been brought back to the museum now.
Seeing these people, though, Jason, and what happened to them, well, tell me more about the wider project.
So the project started at the end of 2016 when I was told about the family of Solo Sending. He was an opposition leader who had been murdered by the Jammeh regime during a protest a few months before, and his family had fled into hiding in Senegal. And I was invited to go and meet the family in hiding in Senegal. And then I also met Gambian journalists and some Gambian artists who had also fled into Senegal to avoid persecution in Gambia. And at that point, we couldn't do anything in Gambia because, Jammeh was still in control.
No, you couldn't have made these pictures, could you?
No, it would have been very difficult. Not dangerous just for me, but definitely for the people in the pictures. So once Jammeh fell and he left on 21st of January 2017, immediately I started to hear about people who were getting released from the prisons and people were coming forward. So we just started rolling with the project, trying to meet as many people who had been victims themselves or family members had been victims. And the project went on for over 4 years. So what is really maybe coincidental is, this morning when we were on the boat and I was telling you about my friend Lamin, who had just recently arrived in the Canary Islands taking the backway boat. Well, that's him there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's Lamin. So he's Lamin Gassama. So now he's in the Canary Islands. That video that we had on earlier of him, he sent me from the boat journey. That's him.
This features Mama Bass and Lamin Gassama, and I don't quite understand because I have read this. Mama Bass said that before Jammeh fled to Equatorial Guinea in 2017, men in plain clothes came to our home and told us that if Jammeh leaves the country, we had to be silent about the death of Mariama. I would have thought at this particular point they would have been itching to tell people.
I think there was, probably a sense of just people were paranoid, because obviously they realized people were going to start talking about what had been going on. So it was probably just putting the frighteners on them a little bit. But
Lamin, when you see all these pictures of the survivors, what do you feel about the history of your country, this particular moment? I know you felt, and you did you were a Jammeh supporter when the infrastructure of the country was being improved. He did do good things for the country, but now you see this sort of history. What are your feelings?
This is exactly what I was saying in the morning. It's sad for somebody to murder your own people that you should be defending. According to the words of the own witnesses, the people that perpetrated the same act, it's very unfortunate and it's very, very sad that we will lose some of our sisters and brothers through this kind of treatment.
Do you mind me asking you, have you lost somebody or somebody you knew?
I know few people that went missing, and people were wondering whether they've been murdered or not, whether they're in the state central prison. But shortly after, when the TRRC, which is the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, was launched, a lot of people have came out to be witness and testify, and this is when almost every Gambian knew that most of the people that we were wondering their whereabouts, whether they're in the state prison or not, in fact they are all dead. They're not alive. And this is very shocking, it's very sad.
Some people still hope that he will come back.
That's their opinion. Everyone is entitled to your own opinion. And I'll tell you, Jammeh still have big-time loyalists in the Gambia.
Are you all still careful about mentioning his name for a time, even after he'd left the country? Nobody mentioned it. Well, people felt very cautious about mentioning his name, and there were people. You wouldn't have been speaking to me about Jammeh.
Maybe when he was in the country, people might be scared to mention some of those things. But even in those days, there were people who were bold enough to ask for the whereabouts of some of the missing people.
Well, I'm going to look at the rest of these pictures. This was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? It really was. Wow. Sad to see these people that now have lost their husbands, brothers, sons. I will leave a link to Jason's work so that you can read for yourself and see for yourself those that have been photographed in this extraordinary series of pictures that Jason made about those who were disappeared during Jammeh's rule of terror in this country. I just spotted Shannon sitting down very quietly in the corner. You say you've hit a wall.
I think it's just an emotional wall because we knew that we were coming to the Arch and we couldn't make it to the museum. And then we were just kind of making a choice between the view and then the museum. And there happened to be a museum at the Arch. And serendipity, it happened to be Jason's work that was being displayed here. And he didn't even know. So it just is such an emotional thing.
Stories are so potent, aren't they?
The stories are heartbreaking, and I've read them before, but it just because it's so emotional to see, first of all, the way people here always have a smile on their face and how they've recovered from it, but also how much pain is probably held in each of their stories, and that probably every single person here is either related to or went through something to do with the atrocities that Jason documented. And just the fact that we came here and it was on the walls, it took me totally off guard, and it just kind of emotionally derailed me. So it's not like I'm in tears, but I just feel like that could be, if I didn't sit down, that could happen.
Just punched, really.
Yeah, I don't think there's such a thing as an accident, and it's such a beautiful gift to Jason because he thought maybe his work was sitting in a closet somewhere.
Yeah.
And yet it's so poignant that the people of Gambia actually not only valued it, but put it in a museum in the Arch, and he had no clue. And how many stories are still untold?
Yeah. Well, there's many more than this.
Absolutely. We're just taking a taste of it. And, you just have this privileged feeling about your own life, and then you see this, and the complaints that I have about my life suddenly seem super trivial and kind of selfish and hedonistic and maybe even slightly narcissistic. Yeah. Perspective, for sure.
We're coming toward the end of our first adventuring day. I mean, we had an R&R day yesterday, which didn't feel very R&R. I think we were all exhausted, weren't we? But sometimes relaxing is exhausting. We're saying, Shannon's waving goodbye to some school kids. The end of their day at school. Matt, what did you make of that just now in the museum, looking at the survivors exhibition, which was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it? Oh, hang on, get that shot there. Oh. They've all clambered aboard a pickup. I've just done the one thing that I hate people doing to me, Matt. That's quick, get that over there. Look, there's a rainbow. Get it.
Yeah. It was kind of intense. It was I guess a pleasant surprise in some way to see Jason's photos, but the subject is a little rough to deal with.
The history of this place is so potted, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. This has been, so far, it's been a wonderful experience, but there's that heaviness of the past.
Yeah. It's important, though, isn't it, to recognize the past?
Yes. How could you not? You can only imagine what these people have been through.
Yeah.
The loved ones that they've lost. And
you've been 48 hours in this country. What do you make of it?
I'm enjoying it. It's intense in a way that you don't see you don't see in the States.
Have you been to Africa before?
I have not, and it's a place I've always wanted to go. It feels like there's something about this life that's almost more real in a lot of ways. There's a lot of stuff that I think in the West you're so far removed from, where your food comes from, where your clothes come from, and all of it here is right out in the open. It's not only is it visually intense, all of your senses, I think, participate in a way that you don't in everyday life.
I was talking to Shannon, and I think both of us were trying to find, I don't think we've succeeded yet, an expression or I think we're both a bit punch drunk and thinking, because what you don't want to do is start patronizing. But I tell you what, you do appreciate, without sounding like a cliche now, just how lucky you are, particularly when I went to the airport to collect some people from the airport, and my driver said to me, my dream one day, he said, is to one day fly on one of those. I pick people up from the airport, I drop people off at the airport.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that we take for granted.
Yeah.
But you know what? That said, it's just interesting to see all the smiles and the greetings, people asking you where you're from, what your name is, shaking your hand. I've shaken so many strangers' hands today and yesterday, I think, that more
in your own hometown, you'd walk past them.
I'd walk by.
Look, I know we stick out. I know that. There is a reason why we get stopped, and let's be honest about that. However, you are right. The general, and this is why I like coming back to that. I was trying to explain to my wife, why do you like going to the Gambia? And I said, I tell you why, because it's not Disneyfication.
Not at all. No. Everything's very genuine.
Yeah. But then I feel awkward saying authentic. Do you know what I mean? I think we're both struggling here, aren't we? Maybe by the end of this 10-day adventure, you and I will sit down and say, do you know Neale? And I'll say, do you know Matt? I know what it's about.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I'm still... Yeah, I had a hard time sleeping last night, and I think that was part of it. It was just like everything's overwhelming.
That market was overwhelming, wasn't it?
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Factories, sites, the whole thing.
But it had its own beauty. The way the light is coming through the holes in whatever the ceiling was made of, and
tarp mainly.
And lighting up the stalls where people were working, and the people were beautiful. The clothing is incredibly interesting. The colors, it's nice to see so many colors.
I love the sound, by the way, that you can hear in the background as myself and Matt. I think we've lost our team. They've all gone off. Should we go and rejoin them, Matt? But the sound, I'm going to go into the... I lost my voice there for a second. And that wasn't necessarily emotion. That's also the dust in the air. We're making our way down one of the pillars in Arch 22. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm ready for a really cold bottle of water.
Yes.
And who needs heat in a shower? It's overrated. I'm going to douse myself in cold therapy. Here I come. You get the most amazing bird sounds, I suppose, whenever you travel. I'm being very quiet for a reason. I don't want to chase this little chappie off. But the most amazing bird sounds, it's the first thing that always strikes me when I come to a country that I don't live in. This bird I listen to every single morning. He's just by the coast where we're staying. I think he's a hornbill, but I'm not sure. I call him the 23 bird because that's what he sounds like. Have a listen. I tell you what, you'll never hear, well, maybe you will, I don't know, but rarely will you hear a link on this podcast recorded outside a wonderful school in a place called Bakau in West Africa in the Gambia. And we're at a school to make some photographs, but not in a, what's the horrible expression? Fish in a goldfish bowl kind of sense. No, we're here because the school have asked if during our stay we could come and make some photographs of those that are learning because they want to put up pictures. So we're going to make some big prints. They want to put up some pictures in their brand new computer room. And so it is in every way what I thought a Gambian school would look like. It's a city Gambian school. It's not a village one. So this is much, much larger. I think there's between 1,000, 1,500 children here, but not all the time. They do it in shifts, as it were, morning shift, afternoon shift. I think you come to school, learn, go home. There's none of this going out for extended playtimes and lunchtimes, as far as I've learned so far. In terms of, I'll put some pictures on the show page, but in terms of what the school looks like, it's a single-story school, and it's in a kind of a U shape. And there's a lovely big play area in the middle with trees and just sand. So I guess they will come out at some stage and we'll gather some pictures. But I've been stood outside the language lab, as it were, the international language of Incy Wincy Spider, Farah Jaka. It's and songs being sung to tunes that we would know in Gambian. It's wonderful. It's just a great experience. I feel like I'm turning my back because all the children are looking out the window at me, talking into my microphone with my dead cat on the top, thinking, what is he doing? And I don't want to interfere with the classes or draw their attention away. We're going to make some photographs within the school. We're going to go in and photograph the teaching as it happens. And I think we should get some wonderful pictures here today that we can then share with the school for them to use in this new computer facility that I'm yet to see. So would you mind if I went to go and do some photography? Because I'm watching Michael and Lynn, Shannon and Matt. Where's Matt? There he is. There's Matt, making wonderful pictures. I feel like I'm missing out. So excuse me. I'll be back in a moment. I'm standing in the what would be the school kitchens, and it's very, 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 very smoky. I don't know what they're cooking in the... Okay, so it's boiling water at the moment. They're preparing for lunch, which is, we're told, 11 a.m. and it's 10:20 at the moment. But I think if I'm going to talk to Sally, who's the chef, we might have to go outside. Otherwise, I'll... it'll be quite noisy in it. Can we step outside, Sally? Oh, it gets hot in that kitchen. This is Sally, who is your head chef. Is that your title?
Yes, I'm the chef.
The most amazing thing about meeting you, apart from meeting you, is that you went to this school.
Yes.
How much is it? How much has it changed?
The time I was here till now, I think it's around 40 years.
40 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. Your kitchen is in the Hazel Scott Ayton Memorial Computer Lab.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we turn it to be a kitchen.
Right.
Because this project is bought by the name of the project is Knock.
What does that mean?
Knock mean I don't know how to brighten our children's future. Yes, to cut it short. But in our local language, you can say it's Mandinka.
Okay.
Yes, Nadindingola Karongo Kumayande.
And that program exists now to feed children a nutritious meal for the next 5 years at school.
Yes.
Was it not happening before?
No, there was no feed. What we have vendors who come and sell.
So before you had vendors that came to sell food to them, and now they're getting food free as part of a program.
Yes.
What do you cook?
Okay, we cook beans, we cook lentil, and then rice. The rice, if you like, you can cook benachin, domoda.
Oh, I love domoda.
Yes.
Are you cooking domoda today?
No, we don't cook domoda today. We cook domoda on Wednesday.
Oh, I'll come back on Wednesday.
Yes. That was the day we started the feeding program.
Yeah.
Yes. That was the day we started the feeding program. And it's a feeding program, and you have to feed more than 1,250.
That's a
children.
lot.
It is every day.
Every day.
Monday to Friday. Yeah. Because we have double shifts, both morning and afternoon.
Not all schools have that here, do they?
Yes, no. Not all of them have it.
Yeah.
Because this project has to feed 187 schools in the Gambia.
Yeah.
And then it's feeding 57,000 children.
This project that
the whole Gambia. Yeah.
Well, it's an amazing project. Thank you. I know you're itching to get back in there because I know we're only half an hour away from the first service.
Yes.
What are they having today?
We're having beans today.
Beans.
Yes,
beans
black
today.
beans. Yeah.
Black beans.
Yep.
I'll let you get on.
Okay.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you.
Our time in this school as photographers taught us the importance of connection. It seems a small lesson, but since we're in a school, that's rather pertinent. Initially, I personally tried to creep into lessons to make a few pictures, though let's face it, just because you're photographing in a different country or even culture doesn't mean you should leave your manners at passport control. The first, not the one you're about to hear, but the first class I went into, I assumed this documentary ninja kind of approach, the fly-on-the-wall thing, but was quickly chastised by the teacher, quite rightly, who reminded me that I hadn't even said hello to the children, which of course I duly did, though that then became an echo of hellos 20 to 30 times, as each pupil wanted a personal hello. Of course. I'm in what I think. I'm being quiet because I don't want to interrupt children, but it's very obvious I've walked in and I am. But we're in an English class. I think is this an English class?
Yes.
What's your name?
My name is Photowalkers.
And this is English. What are you doing? You're doing homework or something?
Yes. I did this yesterday.
Do you mind reading to me what you've written?
This one.
Yeah.
Sophie bought 8 books at $2 each. How much did she spend on books? That's 8 times 2.
And what's the answer?
16.
16, yeah. So this is a maths class, not an English class. I got it wrong.
It is an English class.
It is an English. I'm sorry, I apologise. What else have you got? Read me that one.
Musa bought 7 sweets at $5 each. How much did he pay? That's 7 times 5.
Yeah. What's the answer?
It's 35.
35. Are you sure this isn't a maths class?
It is.
Oh, it is. Right. How many of you are there in here? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 30 of you.
Everybody's very quiet. They're all staring at me. Why are they staring at me?
I don't know.
Thank you very much. I'll let you carry on learning because your teacher's looking at me. She thinks you need to be learning, not talking to me. Right, I'm with teacher, and she's
You are supposed to underline the letters that are inside this.
she's teaching a young lad here.
This is T.
Oh, it is English.
So you have to go back and underline T, okay? Underline this T. Look at the book. This one should be underlined. And then what else? This is T. This is T.
The sound you hear is the children at lunch, and it's black beans today. I'm being followed, so I'll keep walking with you. But I've just been in the kitchens. We were all photographing in the kitchens. Well, I say we were all. I'm not sure everybody went in. Certainly Jason and Michael went in. It's so hot in there, and the smoke. If you've ever sat around an open fire and thought, oh, that's a bit smoky, my clothes are going to be smoky today. Well, if you're in a kitchen that has 2 serving hatches and 1 door, and it's got three large pans all being wood, all have wood fires beneath them, it's taken me around about 15 minutes just to get my lungs back. Hello, why are you laughing at me? Hiya. Right. Before I have to pass the mic, last time I had to pass the microphone around and it became a bit of a game to get it back. No, you can't have the microphone. So yeah, black beans. Some of the children I noticed are given some bread, but not many. Matt's over here. He's given his microphone away. Matt, you are aware you've just given your microphone away.
Oh, they give it back eventually.
Oh,
but look, it's great at making friends.
That's true. I think they're confused by the fluffy dead cat on the top.
They all know that it's a microphone, and they start singing into it.
Do they?
Yeah.
Oh, I want some of your recordings later. I do. Jason, are you making friends?
I'm making money off of this.
You're making money?
Yeah,
Hold on a minute.
He just paid me $100.
For what?
For a picture.
I hope you gave that $100 back.
Well, it was... Do you want your $1? I'll give it back to you. There you go. Okay.
Oh, Jason's pretending to do money. I should have known. Oh, a chicken running through the dining area.
I think I need some of this niebe. It looks really good.
Well, I was saying just a moment ago, and I was quite moved by this. I was sat down doing some photographing and recording, and I've lost my camera bag. Oh, there it is. And a little girl came up and she offered me a plate of, is it niebe?
Niebe, yeah.
Niebe. So it's black beans, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
And initially I thought, oh, maybe that's come from the serving hatch. And I looked round, it hadn't come from the serving hatch. She'd offered me her plate of food. And I said no thank you. And she sort of pushed it slightly harder back to me. And then in the end, she smiled and took it away and sat down and started eating. Generosity.
Yes, na kantongo.
Na kantongo.
Which, if you see people eating often, if you're walking past and they're eating together, people will say na kantongo, like come and have lunch with us.
Ah, was that what was going on perhaps?
Could have been. You know what na kantongo? See, he knows.
He knows. He knows.
Konofata or konkotena?
Jason now goes into about 5 to 10 minutes of Mandinka. which we're all so wholly impressed about.
Smoke and mirrors. I don't know how to say that in Mandinka.
The sound you hear is home time sound. The morning shift is done, the afternoon shift is yet to come. Oh, I even rhymed it. I should be in one of the classes. I tell you what, the education is not, it's not chalk and cheese to what I would expect our children to have, and why should it? Maths, English, different languages, music. Yeah, it's the thing that struck me, I suppose, is the way in which education is received. There seems to be to me, a different learning process in terms of communication within the class. And that's not me criticising what goes on at British state schools, not at all. You can't compare one country to another, but it did feel to me to be a very different learning experience. And I'm not saying that's because the children respected their teacher more. God, this is a difficult field within to walk, but that bit seems different to me. It's been an amazing day, well, a half day. It really has. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know the photographers. I'm watching Matt at the moment with his beautiful Nikon camera, sharing pictures that he's made with the children, and also letting them have the camera.
Press that one.
Here we go.
All right, now what? You want to see him? Look, there's that silly face. What do you think?
Are we teaching f-stops as well here, Matt?
Oh, we're just going to keep it pretty basic.
Yeah.
Button pressing.
The way I would work.
That's a good one. Okay, you're filling up nice.
After a few days, I think when you first arrive in a place, and certainly in Africa, I always remember, here's something strange. When I first came to the Gambia, I was doing a wedding for a guy that worked in the army. And he said, what are you doing? Where are you going on holiday this year? And we were having a chat. And I said, well, I'm having a few holidays, funnily enough, and going to the Gambia. And he stopped me in the middle of the sentence. And he said, we have a saying in the army. I said, what's that? He says, stay low, move fast. Because the mention of West Africa and the Gambia, and after a few days, we're just wandering around with our cameras. Nobody's troubling us, really. It feels very safe. I've got my iPhone out, which I'm recording on. I'm not do you know, in London, I am a closed book. Not here. You've been around Africa a lot, Lynn, more than me. You have more experience of Africa. What's your feelings about the place?
I think pretty much the same as yours. I feel quite safe. Everybody's really friendly. I haven't felt like I've had to hang on to my camera and my bag. Although maybe having local guides with us obviously helps you. I think you're less of a target then. Because there was a lady on the plane sitting next to me on the way out was warning me about how I'd get hassled every 5 minutes for money and people wanting to marry me so they could leave the country. But I mean, we've had nothing like that. It's all just been fun and laughter, really.
I'm still waiting for somebody to want to marry me. It's just not, it's not happening.
I'm sure everybody's got their own favourite uncle at home, Neil. They don't need another one.
Thanks very much. Sam, you're okay. Damn, she says. I was hoping to marry you off.
I've been asked several times since returning to the UK whether we're going to the Gambia again for a photographic adventure, and the answer is very probably yes. So if you've enjoyed the experience so far and there's more to come, drop me a line as the reserve list is starting to build. But also, and just between you and I, we have our eyes set on another adventure for next year possibly. So again, drop me a line for this list too. There's an adventure my father and I used to dream of, mainly because it was a television program that we shared as a father and son experience. Great train adventures. And the one we've chosen is an adventure in India. The sights, the sounds, the experience that is a train adventure between towns and cities of this most extraordinary place to photograph. If you'd like to nab a train seat before somebody else does, write to stories@photowalk.show. Right, the next part of today's show is a real tiptoe around a few subjects which I shall try and navigate, though I suspect at times with the turning circle of a Frisian cow. Reference there for fans of a certain sci-fi book. I just know you'll be screaming at the podcast player over the next few minutes as you say, "Listen, Neil, heaven's sakes, listen," just like my English teacher used to do.
We're at a place called Kachakali. Now, we talked about Kachakali as being the place that women go to become fertile. And that sounds like a clinic, I realise, but this clinic is not like any other clinic. This is a clinic which involves swimming with a crocodile. Have I got that loosely right?
Well, just a bit close. It's not they swim with the crocodiles, but I mean, there's a special place they created where they took the females so that they can have bath with the water from the crocodile pool.
So they swim in the water from the crocodile pool?
They don't swim. They just pull the water from the crocodile pool and then they come and take a bath of it.
I always thought that you had to swim in the pool with a crocodile for the fertility.
Really.
Well, I'm rather pleased I was wrong.
That's totally wrong. They can't swim with crocodile.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, but that's how it is because they believe if they are not fertile, they have to have some blessing from the crocodile. Our ancestor Bojang Kunda found the crocodile pool.
This crocodile can make you pregnant, or this waters from the where the crocs swim. Where does that? I'm trying to piece together where that bit of history happened.
I don't even believe it either.
I'm not saying I don't believe in it, because who am I to say I don't believe in it?
I mean, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in that. I have a strong faith because the crocodile cannot get anybody pregnant, cannot get anybody anything. Right. But there is their belief.
Yeah.
Vast majority of people, they believe.
They still believe.
Yes, but it works for them if you believe in it.
If you have faith, perhaps the faith is the. How many crocodiles are here?
Wow. I don't think anybody knows exactly how many crocodiles.
Oh, there's quite a few then.
Oh.
Matt, you know these crocodiles are roaming free, don't you?
I'm not worried about that.
Okay, I just thought I'd check in with you. I'm not sure the insurance for this trip stretched to crocodile injuries. How did you lose your limbs, sir? Well, Neale took me to a crocodile pool where I was hoping to become pregnant. And, yeah.
My camera hand.
But you'd tussle for your camera, though, surely.
Sure.
Depends which one.
Make it another week.
What do you have?
So, Baba.
Yes, sir.
I'm now walking along a path. I'm assuming this is where the crocodiles are.
We're heading to the crocodile pool. Oops, correct.
No, that was not the crocodile. That was me falling off a path. So the crocs are down here. Is there anything we should know about?
Don't be surprised. Don't be scared. Go and have fun with the crocodile.
Sometimes they coat them with some sort of green colour, green paste. What is that?
Not really. So it's because of the water they're into. Sometimes the water gets some little bit. It's been. How do they say that again?
Oh, with algae and things
something
on the top.
Like, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
I always thought it was something to do with some sort of magical.
No,
you see,
really.
You talk to different people and people tell you different things. So somebody said to me, "That's the magical green paste that keeps the crocodiles docile and calm." That's nonsense, isn't it?
I'll tell you this. They are normal crocodiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say.
What is this?
It's a tree.
Well, I can see it's a tree, Baba, but look,
yeah.
it's a tree. It's a tree, Jim, but not as we know it.
It comes in a different style, a decent tree anyways.
Well, it looks like it has some sort of dinosaur footprint in the middle of it. You can walk in, it's a cave, you can live in it.
Yeah.
Look at that. You're my natural history expert. Lynn?
Well, Booba's just told us it's an elephant tree or a kapok tree.
Baba doesn't know that bit. Baba doesn't know that.
It's got a gin in it. It's got a face.
This is the circumcision.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, circumcision?
Yeah.
So what happens Shannon, what happens in here?
This is where they were circumcised.
The women?
The women were, yeah.
Oh.
So and
women?
Yeah. I think just the women. Yeah, so Booba said that it's dying now, but of course they don't do any circumcision, so...
Thank heavens.
Yeah, maybe that's... it's time for this tree to just turn into a fossil.
And the elephant tree with its almost cave-like entrance was where it happened.
That's what I was told, and also that women looked forward to it. Of course, it was a terrible rite of passage in the sense of pain, but they also tattooed themselves and practiced a lot of other rituals that actually embraced pain in order to build character and a rite of passage, which also served them very well, because if you have the ability to endure pain as part of your culture, then you're going to survive wars. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why this stuff, I think, came into passing. Not that it's right, but we, from our perspective, coming into Gambia, there's so much I'm learning just every day about my own perceptions about what's right and wrong, and, what's abundancy and what is normal. I
think it's been interesting for us all, hasn't it? What is normal?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do feel, however, getting close to the crocodiles, that I may have wanted to switch out from flip-flops to boots. And at this point, I'm going to stop. Yeah.
My God, I thought they'd be in a pool, and they're like,
they're not in a pool.
They're like 2 feet from the path. No, not even 2 foot from the path. There they are. I thought they'd be in a pool, not like centimetres from my feet.
You can go closer if you want.
Let me think about that for a minute. What?
Let's go closer.
No, I don't need. I don't need to walk over there, Bubba. Well, they might be well. Well, don't do that. You're horrible.
You don't see your face.
Shh. No, I'm not going up to one of these. Oh.
They don't attack if you don't harm them.
Well, I don't intend to harm them.
Well, because you're me, so I'm Bojan, they're Bojan, the crocodiles are Bojan too, so
as long as I'm with the correct dialect or tribe, as you called it. I didn't call it tribe, you called it. Then I'm okay. If we're Bojang, I'm with Bojang. We're all right.
You are Bojan today, so don't worry. You're good.
Okay, well, that's all right.
Crocodile will be your friend.
Right. It says here, Baba, I just want to draw your attention to this sign. Don't touch any crocodile without the advice of the pool guide.
Are we touching any crocodile?
No, we haven't touched a crocodile.
So it's not for us, eh?
Musa knows about the crocodiles. I had everything wrong. I thought the women swam in the crocodile pool to help them with their fertility. That's not true, is it?
No, that's not how.
I liked that story.
But I mean, of course, that's why I'm here to correct these stories. Because there's a lot of misinformation stories about this place. My job and my responsibility is to correct this information and to give people accuracy information about this place. So women don't swim in the pond.
No.
They do what they do when they come. That I would go down with a bucket and go down to this pond.
So you go with a bucket, you fill it up with the water from the pond, and that's the area over there. Gotcha.
That's where they
nobody's swimming with crocodiles.
Nobody's swimming is with the crocodile because everybody, as I said, people are built to be scared of crocodiles. So everybody. So
how many crocodiles do you have here?
100.
100?
100 crocodiles.
My word.
Yeah.
Nobody comes out late here at night and says, I've just forgotten my phone. I'll pop down the end of the path and collect it.
I remember. Nobody come, but I remember a few months ago there are a group of students that are making a photograph of this place and they forget the camera here. So I keep it here in the shop so that they come to my house in the night, and I have to bring them back here to get the cameras back. But rather than that, I don't remember anyone forgetting cameras and coming back.
I was thinking that you wouldn't want to be the person that has to lock up or open up in the morning because you're the first one in or out.
Of course, I'm first one in and out. And
are you the first one?
I'm the first one. I'm the first one. I come in the morning. I come 7 in the morning to feed them. So I have to be here 7. I have to be about 6:30 a.m. in the morning. Make sure that 7 a.m. in the morning they got their food. No matter how late it is, it will not be more than 7:30 a.m. in the morning.
What do they eat?
Fish. Yeah.
From
the sea.
Yeah. I knew that, but I wondered where from the rivers further up or from the sea?
I mean, from the sea, from Tangier.
Okay. From Tangier.
From Tangier.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of different sizes here.
Yeah.
Different colorations, different markings. What can you tell me about the crocodiles?
I mean,
I can't believe, by the way, that my colleague, Matt, over there, who's on this... Now, when I organised this trip, I had no idea that I would be sticking people within 30 centimetres of a crocodile.
Yeah. I mean, that's the crocodile pool of this place. People can come 30 centimetres to the crocodiles.
Yeah.
The only thing they don't want people to do is to be more 30 centimetres to the head. Always stay away from the head, okay? Because that's the most sensitive part of them, and they don't trust anything goes to the head.
You can't pat them on the head.
You can't pat them on the head. No, they don't like dogs. They are too suspicious of their heads. So that's why. But rather than that, if they're not hungry and also our presence around them here, it is not a threat, and they are peaceful to people.
How do you know they're not hungry?
Because I feed them. So I know that what the amount of the food that I gave them lasts for the whole day.
But there's 100. You can't count every single one in and every single one out, as the old expression went from a news bulletin many, many years ago. You don't know which ones are fed, surely.
Of course, I knew which one is fed and which one not so, because they all used to come out at that time. They knew that's
all 100.
All 100. So they all knew that is the time for food.
Yeah.
So they all comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all comes out. No, none of them missed the feeding time. So they all have food, because if one or two miss the feeding time, maybe that one will be hungry, and going closer to that particular crocodile will be trouble. Because might think you are the next food available food.
Yeah.
So hence that these places have been here for very, very long time, and there's never been any incident. So know that all 100 crocodiles come out to get their food at a time.
How long have you been here?
14 years.
Not one incident yet.
No one incident.
Not one incident.
No one incident.
Lynn, it's okay. He's been here 14 years. Not one incident yet.
No one incident yet, because also it is not only because I gave them so much food, but because I always accept people to treat them with respect.
How far up? Here's a question I never thought I'd ask in my entire career. How far up a crocodile can you touch it before it gets a bit agitated?
You can touch from the tail up to the middle of the back.
Right. After that, you're in trouble.
After that, you're in trouble. Because
and
then,
how quickly can they turn? If you're touching their tail, I think crocodiles can turn around really quickly, can't they?
They can whip you with the tail,
right?
And it can turn around just like a blink of eyes in a circle.
So it's still dangerous to touch on the tail.
I mean, the tail is not a problem, but if the crocodile is not too sure what you're doing next to his tail, touching them like that is not been a problem, because I think they're enjoying that. They've been all their life, people have been touching them in their tail. But if you were doing something that the crocodile is not too sure of, and the crocodile would act in a self-defense, and that's what we don't want people to do. We always want people to sit like your colleagues did, sit next to him gently, touching it or taking pictures. It's not. They don't bother about that, because they've seen people doing that next to them for all their life in here.
How old are they? And how? I mean, you had one here called, was it Charles?
Charlie.
Yeah. And that grew really long. Is Charlie still alive?
He's 77 years old now.
77, still alive?
He's still alive, and he's 2.5 meters.
Yeah.
But these are West African species, so they don't grow that much bigger. They'll be 2.5 meters the whole size. They are completely different with the crocs in the river, which are Nile crocodiles, which can grow to 4 to 5 meters.
They're the biggies.
They're the biggies.
Yeah. Now, so look, you've corrected me on the pool. We know nobody goes swimming with them. I know now where I can touch a crocodile. I'm going to have a go in a minute. Tell me about the ritual and this belief, this fertility belief. I'm not asking you whether you believe in it, but you smiled at me then. I'm not sure what that smile meant.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very long time culture or tradition of this place.
Yeah.
They believe that some of these places has some healing power. So with that, they go to there with their problems like fertility.
Not just fertility then, it's healing.
It's a healing. It is healing also, it is healing. But it's well known to the people that it is because most of the women that came and they're able to conceive children later, they make it like big marketing here, because there are a lot of men and women and boys and girls that are called Kachikali.
Yeah.
So these names indicate the people that around this country or beyond to this border of this country that, this is helping people.
Right.
So that's why fertility become one of the name of this place. But it's also healing.
And if somebody wants to be healed, what do? They just come here and do it, or you charge them for it, or they have to write for it? How does that work?
Now the procedure is those want to be healed, they come. When they come, there's no charge for it. It's a free will of charity, whatever you want to give.
Right.
From your own wishes, because that's what our ancestors or our grandparents or great-grandparents, they will believe in it.
Yeah.
Because they believe putting a price in there, it will later come to become a business.
Yes, like
and
commerce.
that will take away from all the spiritual power away. So that's why they don't do that. So all they do is to allow people themselves to decide what they have to give for charity.
Right. Which one do I go and make friends with?
He was out somewhere there. And I think maybe it's packing the food.
I don't like the idea that it's opened its eyes, Matt.
Its eyes have been open for a while.
Have they?
Yeah.
And one only.
And one only, yeah. Right. Just here.
Yeah. You can feel it like these from here. You know, I tell you from the back there to the tail, no problem with it. Yeah.
What's this one called?
This one that got no name.
It's got no name.
This one, Mr. Crocodile, you can call it.
Mr. Crocodile.
Or Jason.
So what I'm aware of, or Jason, what I'm aware of here, Musa, is number one, you've gone away.
Okay. I just wanted you to have a picture there.
Yeah, Musa, I'm very happy for you to be in all of my pictures.
All right, no problem.
Number two, this tail, if that whips round then, the idea is that it catches its prey by whipping me round towards its mouth.
Of course.
That's what would happen in the wild.
It will happen when it whip you, you felt there, and the crocodile will just like...
Yeah.
And the first thing when they grab anything, they use the power, and they drag that thing back in the water.
Down to the pool just behind me.
And they do death roll, you know.
They death roll?
Death roll, yeah. They spring it up, yeah. That's what they do.
Well, he's a beautiful animal. I've never, ever been as close to... Well, I've certainly never touched a crocodile.
So you can have this one and take it home for free.
I think I'll be leaving it here with you. Nice to meet you, Croc. Within a couple of seconds of stroking my newfound friend Croc, he opened his mouth and his head reared up, didn't he, Jace?
Yeah, I think I've been here a few times. I've never seen them do that before.
Do you think I agitated him?
I think he heard you were former BBC or something, and thought I'll have a piece of that.
I tell you what, though, look at that. I mean, we'll put some pictures on the show page, and you'll think, no, that's plastic. I'm telling you, for real. This is for real. It's
very for real. For real.
For real.
For real.
Yeah.
You know, it's just extraordinary. I love coming here. It always fascinates me that the proximity, everything. You know, we were always taught that these creatures should be well avoided, but because I've done my bit now.
I've done my bit. I've done my modelling.
That's enough for the day.
I'll have another sleep. I've laid down. Yeah.
Well, we emerged with some incredible up-close and personal pictures of one of the most feared and admired reptiles on the planet. And that's the end of part one of our visit to the Gambia, which I hope you've enjoyed. I do have a play-out song with African flavour to come, and a PS in a moment. Part 2 is now available for Extra Milers, and here's a taster of what's to come in Extra Mile, episode 420.
I think some more dancing's about to begin, but honestly, Shannon, that was an experience, wasn't it? I feel, I can admit this, I felt, as I was watching the extreme physical nature of that dance, watching people in the air, the dust kicking up, and just the joy of the sound of the... I felt tearful. The thing is, when you start to make a portrait of 4 people, it becomes 9 very quickly.
I was trying to take a portrait of one person, and we've now got at least 12.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's more joining.
Yes.
Don't let me stop. You carry on.
Yeah, well, they're giving you the daggers, Neil. Paddington Stairs.
I know, look.
Yeah, often extended families will live together in the same compound. Yeah, it's very, very normal here. It's kind of almost expected.
Support each other. Now, this house is particularly special. I mean, we've come to a compound. We've not descended on it like tourists that have come with their cameras and just treating it as some sort of theme park. This compound, this family means a lot to you, doesn't it? And we brought rice.
We brought the silafondo.
Oh, explain that.
It's a Mandinka word that basically means like it's a gift to you on behalf of my journey. So we're making a short journey here, but it's always it's part of the culture. You should bring something as a visitor.
We visited a village, or we're visiting a village, and we've been to watch the ladies in a really large allotment, if you like, tending to their crops. You'll see the pictures on the show page, and I've been doing some filming. Not quite sure what I've filmed and what I've photographed and what I've recorded audio-wise, but at the end of it, the payment to the ladies for having photographed, which only seems fair, having photographed them and filmed them, is that we're supposed to dance for them.
here people eat from hand to mouth because every day you have to look for something to provide just for you to survive.
Some tasters of what is to come in today's Extra Mile special. Plus, at the end, the very last assignment of the retreat, where we found ourselves in a veterinary field hospital's operating theatre, which was possibly one of the most moving moments of my personal trip. And we'll hear from those who attended also on the show to hear their responses to a West African adventure. Now, the play-out song. This song was used for the school segment today and features Hans Johnson, who will be coming onto the show soon as a guest, a photographer during his travels making music across the world, and an artist who we feature reasonably regularly on this show. Today's PS is to come, and in the meantime, here is Hans Johnson with a song he originally penned, or conceived, if you will, from a journey he made to the eastern side of the continent when he visited Kenya. This is Nina's song. Nina's song from Hans Johnson. Just a few closing thoughts before the PS. My sincere thanks to you if you are or you're about to become an extra miler. My promise to you is to keep building a community of kindness, a safe place to share our thoughts about this thing we do, photographing and walking. The show page will have pictures from today's episode, though it's a dynamic page, this one, insofar as pictures will be added in the days to come, since one of our team is still in West Africa making stories, and there is a film in production too. My thanks to Neil Ford, who looks after IT, Andrea Gilpin, who's across Instagram, and Kelly Mitchell with Emily Renier, who look after our Facebook members. Write a postscript for the show, and actually today it is from Kelly Mitchell, who knew what the show was going to be about, so suggested the following from Babs Hoffman, a former infielder who played from 1951 through 1952 in the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. And you might be saying, excuse me, where's the West African relevance? Well, I think the PS is in the message of the spirit of adventure, and it's this: stop worrying about the potholes in the road and enjoy the journey. Let's talk in the extra mile.
The Photowalk is a Loading Zone production.